The festive season is just a couple of weeks away, and what Christmas would be complete without a couple of highly anticipated games in your stocking? Here's 10 upcoming games in December that you'll definitely want to play these holidays. At number 10 we have Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. This is what you might call a remaster of Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII from 2007. The truth is, with all the work that's gone into this title, it's actually more of a full-on remake than a remaster. You can expect the same epic storyline and characters as the original game, but naturally, gameplay has been streamlined and the graphics updated to more or less match the visual fidelity of other games being released today. On top of that, there's some new content including all new musical arrangements from the original game's composer, Takeharu Ishimoto, as well as brand new summon cinematics that are guaranteed to make your jaw hit the floor. As I mentioned earlier, the streamlined gameplay is the result of an updated combat system which makes action more frenetic, fast-paced, and engaging. You'll need to get pretty adept with your sword skills and also know how to avoid incoming blows from enemies, some of which could easily do you a lot of damage in no time at all. Admittedly, the voice acting is a bit wooden and emotionless at times, and the dialogue itself is a little odd here and there. If you played the original game, it may be difficult to adjust to Zack's new voice, but if this is your first time playing, then it shouldn't be too hard to overlook. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion releases on December 13th, 2022 and will be available on PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and Nintendo Switch. Oh, and if you haven't played before, you may want to watch out for the guy with the long white hair and the 1,000-yard stare. Just saying. At number 9 we have High on Life. Alright, so this is a really weird entry, but there's a damn good reason for that. The game's developer, Squanch Games, is headed up by none other than Justin Roiland of Rick and Morty and Solar Opposites fame. If you're a fan of either or even both series, that should be enough for you to understand where this is going. So in High on Life, there's a whole alien cartel that wants to use human beings as drugs. If your worst nightmare is becoming a living bong or some tentacled space creature's Vicodin, then this game should terrify you. If not, then it may just be an off-the-wall FPS sci-fi comedy adventure that you'll have a great time playing. Featuring an array of talking alien weapons called Gatlians, some of which seem to resemble weapons from other famous FPS game franchises, as well as a living knife named, Knifey, High on Life is a colourful, inventive, and beautifully rendered effort from one of the most demented and brilliant minds in modern animation. As the galaxy's newest bounty hunter, you'll travel to different alien locations and biomes and take out targets connected to Garmantuous, the big bad guy in the game. Hopefully the talking weapons aren't too repetitive or vocal, since quirky and funny will almost certainly become annoying and grating for some players. In addition, High on Life will be a single player game, so don't count on any multiplayer or co-op mode here. High on Life also releases on December 13th and will be available on Xbox and PC. If you do decide to buy, careful not to squeeze the guns too hard. At number 8 we have Dragon Quest Treasures. In this whimsical RPG, Eric and his sister Mia, yes, younger versions of the Eric and Mia from Dragon Quest XI, live on a Viking longboat and dream of finding the ultimate treasure. One night the pair meet two otherworldly creatures, Porcus and Persula, and find themselves whisked off to the magical world of Draconia. The main point of Dragon Quest Treasures is to explore various locations throughout Draconia in order to find loot and return it to your base. By increasing your vault's value, you can expand your base further and even recruit some helpful monsters to aid you in your quest to find the ultimate treasure, the 7 Dragonstones. But it's not all that simple, of course. There are rival gangs you'll need to contend with, and there will be enemies you'll need to battle in order to get to the treasure you're looking for. You'll also soon discover that different monsters have different abilities, making them well suited for certain tasks and maybe not so great with others. This is why you'll need to manage your team of monsters carefully and swap them out from time to time to get the best results. You can even send out monsters to scavenge for loot, and if you're lucky, they may just come back with something amazing. Dragon Quest Treasures seems charming and fun and maybe even aimed at younger players, but that doesn't mean you won't enjoy it as an older one. The game's visuals and sound design are suitably polished, and there should be more than enough side quests and adventures to keep you busy for quite some time. Many fans of the Dragon Quest franchise are seriously looking forward to this game and undoubtedly have it on their Christmas wishlists. Dragon Quest Treasures releases on December 9th and will be available exclusively on Nintendo Switch. At number 7 we have Hello Neighbor 2, which is another more avant-garde entry in our list. This game is the sequel to the massively popular and surprisingly unsettling Hello Neighbor from 2017. Hello Neighbor 2 builds on the now tried and tested stealth horror formula in which you sneak into your creepy neighbor's house and attempt to find out what secrets they're hiding. You'll need to time your movements carefully, hide, use items and tools to your advantage, and, well, you'll probably be doing a decent amount of running too. Hello Neighbor 2 isn't just a smoother, graphically improved version of the first game. In fact, there's a pretty decent catch. The AI that controls the neighbor is pretty advanced and will actually learn from you over time. Not only that, but it'll also learn from the behaviors of every other player as well. In other words, as time goes by, the neighbor's behavior will change and almost certainly surprise you. So be ready. While Hello Neighbor 2 is fairly cartoonish and well lit, it doesn't mean it isn't a pulse-pounding, terrifying experience. Being chased down and dragged is never really fun, and since you'll find it hard to predict what the neighbor will do in the future, you should have a new experience just about every time you play. Hello Neighbor 2 releases on December 6th and will be available on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. FYI, a shut door isn't necessarily impenetrable. At number 6 is The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 Retribution. The second chapter in The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners saga sees you reprise your role as a tourist as they make their way through Walker-infested New Orleans. All the features you know and love from the first installment are here, including physics-based combat, the ability to take on missions from the members of different factions, and deciding whether you want to be a saint or a sinner. Read that as goody or baddie. However, this time around you'll have to face off against the dreaded Axeman, a colossal foe that you'll either have to fight tooth and nail to survive against, or flee from as quickly as possible. You might want to choose the latter in the beginning. New Orleans is also more expansive this time around, so whether it's during the day or at night, there'll be plenty of areas for you to explore, loot to find, and walkers to kill. The weapon crafting system is also significantly upgraded and refined, so you should have plenty of options to try it as you define your own playstyle and experiment with different approaches to dealing with your enemies. Much like the first game, Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 Retribution should take between 15 and 20 hours to complete depending on your in-game performance and how thorough you like to be, I guess. You may not get months of gameplay here, but the time you do get to enjoy should be brimming with action and a suitably intriguing plot. The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 Retribution is set to release on December 1st and will be available on Valve Index, HTC Vive, and MetaQuest. At number 5 we have Marvel's Midnight Suns. In this darker, more supernatural side of the famous Marvel universe, you'll get to play as a mysterious hero known as the Hunter, who must team up with some legendary Marvel heroes to defeat Lilith, the mother of demons. And what happens if you don't? Well, she completes an ancient prophecy and summons her master, Chthon, and that would be very, very bad indeed. Marvel's Midnight Suns is a tactical RPG from the same bunch who brought you XCOM, so if you loved that game, you'll almost certainly love this. Some of the heroes you'll get to fight alongside include Captain America, Spider-Man, Blade, Ghost Rider, Iron Man, and Wolverine. Lilith isn't without her own team though. She's managed to recruit Venom and the Hulk to her cause. I don't know about you, but those two characters as evil demon types tends to make me just a little bit nervous. The idea of Midnight Suns is not only to do well with your team and defeat your foes, but to also cultivate relationships with your fellow superheroes, improve your own fighting skills, and explore the Abbey, the headquarters of the Midnight Suns. Simply put, if you do your homework, you should be better prepared to deal with Lilith and her evil pals. Marvel's Midnight Suns will release on December 2nd and be available on PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, Xbox, and PC. Say, you don't think Lilith got to Deadpool, right? At number 4 we have Choo-Choo Charles. Did you love trains as a kid? Was Thomas the Tank Engine your jam? If so, prepare to be traumatized for life. This locomotive-themed survival horror game will see you drive your own train around an open-world island as you fend off an evil spider train by the name of Charles. Thankfully, you'll have some weapons at your disposal to help you keep Charles at bay, but ultimately you'll need to work diligently to collect resources from surrounding areas so that you can upgrade your train's armor and speed as well as its weapons. Now, as is the case with many survival horror games, time is of the essence, so you'll need to manage your activities carefully and do your best to keep stock of where Charles is at any given time. There are a couple of people on the island who will help you in your quest to beat the cursed demon train, but there may also be one or two who would prefer to put a few shotgun shells in your skull. Choo-Choo Charles has been developed by just one person who has spent a significant amount of time building up the game from a simple proof of concept to a fully fledged release complete with dynamic environments, a variety of weapons, and a number of different characters. While the concept behind Choo-Choo Charles may be bizarre and even oddly comical, it's certainly original and one that has captured the interest of many gamers around the world. Choo-Choo Charles will release on December 9th and be available on PC. And at number 3 we have IXION. This entry is a particularly interesting one. Think of IXION like SimCity, but it's in space, which you also have to survive in and explore. Long story short, humanity messed up the Earth through global warming and pollution, and from what it seems, it looks like we also managed to muck up the moon by, shattering it into a million pieces, so... Anyway, in IXION, you've been appointed by Dolos Aerospace Engineering Corporation to be the administrator of the Tycoon space station. Probably only the most important job in all of human history, so no big deal. You'll need to carefully manage your resources, ensure your crew is kept well nourished and happy, and that the space station's hull isn't breached in any way, among other things. The Tycoon station boasts a total of 6 different sectors, each of which can be unlocked, allowing you to house a greater population, support new jobs, and so on and so forth. Everything here is about strategy and time management, so if you're a master administrator, you should be good. Hopefully you'll manage to help the remaining population of Earth find a new home and establish a thriving civilization on a distant planet. Otherwise, I guess you'll face mutiny, destruction, and the total extinction of the human race. Like I said, no pressure. IXION will release on December 7th and be available on PC. Remember, in space, no one can hear you scheme. Coming in at the number 2 spot is Warhammer 40k Darktide. I'm a huge fan of the Warhammer 40k universe, so this is definitely right up there for me personally as well. Warhammer 40k Darktide is a 4-player FPS co-op game in which you'll get to play as one of 4 rejects who have been recruited by the Imperial Inquisition to investigate the hive city of Tertium on the planet Atoma Prime. As you'll soon discover, the city has been infiltrated by a chaos cult known as the Admonition, worshippers of the chaos god Nurgle, the Lord of Decay. In Darktide, you'll get to choose from one of 4 classes: Veteran, Sharpshooter, Zealot, Preacher, Psyker, Psykinetic, and Ogryn Skullbreaker. Each class has its own special abilities and weapons and allows you to play the game according to your own personal preferences. There are plenty of guns to try out, including lasguns, bolters, stub pistols, and shotguns, as well as several melee weapons including axes, swords, clubs, and chainswords. Enemies are also suitably diverse, allowing for many different combat scenarios in which you'll need to strategize in order to come out on top. Warhammer 40k Darktide is fast-paced, gritty, and brutal, and with the ability to customize your own character's backstory, loadout, and in-game voice lines, you can really play according to your own personal preferences. What's more, Tertium's just the beginning, and in the coming weeks, months, and years, you can expect all new campaigns, enemies, and weapons as the world of Darktide expands over time. I don't need to tell you just how awesome that is. Warhammer 40k Darktide officially releases on November 30th and will be available on PC at first and Xbox shortly thereafter. Protect the little uns! And at number 1 we have the Callisto Protocol. This is the big kahuna. Our number 1 release for December 2022 is none other than Krafton's The Callisto Protocol. As the spiritual successor to the Dead Space franchise, the Callisto Protocol sees you take on the role of Jacob Lee, an inmate at Black Iron, a prison on Callisto, Jupiter's second largest moon. You'll soon discover that an outbreak has led to the prisoners and prison staff becoming infected, turning them into horrible mutant creatures known only as the Biophage. With virtually no one to help you, you'll need to fight your way through the hordes of monsters as you try to get to the bottom of what happened at Black Iron and find a way off of Callisto. There are plenty of overlaps with Dead Space, but this shouldn't be too surprising since Callisto's lead dev, Glenn Schofield, was the brains behind Dead Space back in the day. You can expect some brutal combat, insanely gory deaths, and terrifying sequences as Jacob does his best to deal with the many horrors roaming the hallways of Black Iron. However, unlike Dead Space, combat is a little more varied here, and with melee combat taking a much more prominent role, action promises to be visceral and brutal as all hell. The Callisto Protocol is likely to be one of the top games of the year, and with so much time and effort put into polishing the game's mechanics and storyline, I have to admit that my expectations for this one are extremely high. The Callisto Protocol releases on December 2nd and will be available on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. And that's it for our top 10 games you have to play this Christmas. What do you think of our picks? And which of these games is your favorite? Or is there some other title on your Christmas list? Let me know in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit the bell so that we can continue to deliver more awesome content to you more often. Later!